You scroll through social media at 2 a.m., your mind racing with tomorrow's deadlines, yesterday's mistakes, and next week's uncertainties. Sound familiar? Modern life has created a unique breed of psychological profiles that ancient Stoic philosophers could never have imagined, yet their timeless wisdom offers the antidote we desperately need. After observing countless individuals struggling with anxiety, perfectionism, and emotional volatility in our hyper-connected world, I've identified 5 distinct personality types that dominate today's society. Each represents a different way people cope with modern pressures, but all share one common thread. They've lost touch with the fundamental Stoic principle that true peace comes from focusing only on what we can control. Whether you're the perpetually busy achiever, the emotionally turbulent dreamer, or somewhere in between, understanding your type through a Stoic lens isn't just self-awareness, it's liberation. The ancient philosophers of Rome and Greece faced plagues, wars, and political upheaval. Yet they discovered principles that can transform how you navigate today's chaos. I'm about to walk you through these 5 types, and I guarantee you'll recognize yourself in at least one. More importantly, you'll discover how Stoic wisdom can break the patterns keeping you trapped in cycles of stress, disappointment, and reactivity. By the end of this piece, you'll have practical tools to reclaim your peace, regardless of which type resonates most strongly with you. The question isn't whether you fit one of these profiles. You do. The question is, are you ready to use this knowledge to transform your relationship with life itself? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, yet the hyperactive achiever lives everywhere except the current moment." You know this person, they might even be you. They're the ones with color-coded calendars, multiple side hustles, and an inability to sit still without feeling guilty about wasting time. Sarah from Chicago exemplifies this perfectly. A marketing manager by day, freelance consultant by night, and weekend warrior at the gym, she hasn't taken a real day off in 3 years. Her phone buzzes with productivity app notifications, and she measures her worth by her output. "If I'm not growing, I'm dying," she tells herself, echoing the toxic hustle culture that has infected modern society. But here's what the Stoics understood that our achievement-obsessed culture has forgotten. Motion is not progress, and busyness is not purpose. Seneca, despite being one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in Rome, warned against this exact trap. "Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company." The hyperactive achiever suffers from what I call productivity anxiety, the fear that slowing down equals falling behind. They've confused being busy with being valuable, activity with achievement. Their days are packed, but their lives feel empty. They're running on a treadmill, expending enormous energy while going nowhere meaningful. This type struggles with relationships because they treat people like another item on their to-do list. They're physically present but mentally absent, always thinking about the next meeting, the next goal, the next achievement. Their self-worth is entirely external, dependent on recognition, raises, and results. When these don't come, or don't provide lasting satisfaction, they simply add more to their plate, creating an endless cycle of diminishing returns. The Stoic antidote begins with understanding Epictetus's fundamental teaching. Some things are within our power, while others are not. The hyperactive achiever tries to control outcomes, other people's opinions, and external circumstances. This is not only impossible, but exhausting. True power lies in controlling your effort, your choices, and your responses. Nothing more, nothing less. Consider James, a software developer from Manchester who recognized himself in this pattern. Instead of adding another certification to his resume, he began practicing what Stoics call negative visualization, imagining loss to appreciate what he already has. He started each morning by writing down 3 things he could control that day, focusing his energy only on those items. Within months, his productivity actually increased because his efforts were concentrated and intentional, rather than scattered and reactive. The path forward requires embracing what Stoics called preferred indifference. recognizing that success, money, and recognition are nice to have but not necessary for a good life. Your worth isn't your output. Your value isn't your achievements. You are enough right now, exactly as you are. Before we continue, if this message is already making sense to you and has been a blessing in your life, consider supporting this work. Your contribution helps me reach more people who need to hear these timeless truths in our modern chaos. The emotional roller coaster lives in perpetual drama, swinging between euphoric highs and devastating lows with little middle ground. This isn't about normal human emotions. We all have those. This is about emotional volatility that disrupts sleep, relationships, and decision-making on a regular basis. Meet Rachel from Portland, a graphic designer whose moods change like British weather. One day she's convinced she's found her soulmate. The next week, she's certain she'll die alone. She starts new hobbies with religious fervor only to abandon them when the initial excitement fades. Her friends have learned to wait out her dramatic proclamations because they know a completely different Rachel will emerge within days. Marcus Aurelius dealt with this human tendency toward emotional extremes, writing in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The emotional roller coaster has abdicated this power, allowing external circumstances to dictate their internal state. This type confuses feeling with truth. Because they feel something intensely, they believe it must be accurate and permanent. They make major life decisions during emotional peaks and valleys, creating chaos that confirms their belief that life is inherently unstable. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of drama and disruption. The Stoic approach to emotional regulation isn't suppression, it's perspective. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. The emotional roller coaster assigns catastrophic meaning to temporary circumstances and permanent significance to passing feelings. Consider this Stoic exercise. When you feel overwhelmed by emotion, ask yourself 3 questions. First, is this within my control? If not, why waste energy on it? Second, will this matter in 5 years? Most emotional storms seem laughable in retrospect. Third, what would I tell my best friend in this situation? We're often more rational and compassionate when advising others than when dealing with our own challenges. The goal isn't to become emotionally numb, but to develop what Aristotle called emotional intelligence, the ability to feel without being controlled by those feelings. Emotions provide information, not instructions. They're weather patterns in the mind, temporary and changeable, not permanent features of your landscape. The intellectual fortress believes knowledge is armor, and analysis is action. They're the ones who can debate philosophy for hours but struggle to make dinner reservations. They've read every self-help book, but still feel stuck in the same patterns. Intelligence becomes both their greatest asset and their biggest liability. Thomas from Edinburgh represents this perfectly. With a PhD in literature and an impressive book collection, he can quote Nietzsche at dinner parties, but can't maintain a relationship longer than 6 months. He overthinks every text message, analyzes every social interaction to death, and lives primarily in his head rather than in the world. The ancient Stoics valued wisdom above all other virtues, but they understood something modern intellectuals often miss. Wisdom without application is merely sophisticated procrastination. Seneca warned against this exact trap. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Knowledge without action is paralysis disguised as preparation. The intellectual fortress suffers from analysis paralysis. They know so much about what could go wrong that they struggle to do anything at all. They've confused complexity with sophistication, overthinking with insight. They can explain the psychology of attraction, but can't ask someone on a date. They understand the neuroscience of habits, but can't wake up early consistently. This type often struggles with relationships because they intellectualize emotions rather than experiencing them. They want to understand love rather than feel it, analyze chemistry rather than enjoy it. They treat human connection like a problem to be solved rather than an experience to be lived. The Stoic remedy involves embracing what they called practical wisdom. Philosophy that changes how you live, not just how you think. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his Meditations to impress anyone. He wrote them to remind himself how to behave. The goal of wisdom is transformation, not just information. Start with small, concrete actions. If you've been thinking about learning a language, sign up for a class today. If you've been analyzing whether to call an old friend, pick up the phone now. The intellectual fortress often knows exactly what they should do. They just need to bridge the gap between knowing and doing. Remember, perfect understanding isn't required for effective action. You don't need to completely comprehend swimming before you jump in the pool. Sometimes the best way to understand something is to do it imperfectly first. These final two types represent opposite responses to disappointment and pain. The romantic idealist refuses to let reality dampen their dreams, while the guarded cynic has decided that expectations only lead to heartbreak. Both are imprisoned by their relationship with hope itself. The romantic idealist, like Emma from Nashville, lives in a perpetual state of expectation. She's planned her wedding since she was 12, knows the names of her unborn children, and believes that somewhere out there is a person, job, or experience that will complete her. She's devastated when reality doesn't match her Pinterest boards and Instagram fantasies. On the opposite extreme, we have the guarded cynic like Alex from Boston. After being deeply hurt by someone they trusted, they've decided that emotional walls are safer than emotional risks. They pride themselves on having realistic expectations, which usually means having no expectations at all. They've confused pessimism with wisdom, cynicism with intelligence. Both types misunderstand the Stoic concept of hope. The romantic idealist places hope in external circumstances, the perfect relationship, the dream job, the ideal life. The guarded cynic has abandoned hope entirely, believing it inevitably leads to disappointment. Neither has learned what Epictetus taught. Hope should be placed only in our own character and choices. The Stoic middle path involves what they called reserve clause, hoping for the best while accepting whatever comes. You can dream of great relationships while being content with solitude. You can work toward ambitious goals while finding satisfaction in the effort itself. It's hope without attachment, ambition without desperation. For the romantic idealist, this means loving the process more than the outcome. Enjoy dating without needing it to lead to marriage. Pursue your career passions without requiring them to provide your entire identity. Find joy in small moments rather than waiting for grand gestures. For the guarded cynic, healing begins with recognizing that walls don't just keep pain out, they keep joy out too. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. The goal isn't to become naive again, but to become selectively open, choosing risks worth taking rather than avoiding all risks entirely. Both types need to understand that disappointment isn't failure. It's information. Every failed relationship teaches you what you truly value. Every setback reveals your resilience. The Stoics didn't avoid suffering. They used it as a teacher. Here's what I need you to understand. Reading this analysis isn't enough. Recognition without action is just sophisticated procrastination. You've likely seen yourself in one or more of these types, maybe felt understood for the first time in months. But insight without implementation is worthless. The Stoics didn't develop their philosophy in comfortable classrooms or peaceful retreats. They forged their wisdom in the arena of real life, facing plagues, exile, slavery, and death. Marcus Aurelius wrote his most profound thoughts while leading military campaigns. Epictetus developed his teachings after years as a slave. Seneca practiced Stoicism while navigating the dangerous politics of imperial Rome. You don't have the luxury of waiting until life becomes easier to start living differently. Your circumstances won't improve until your character does. Your relationships won't change until you do. Your peace won't come from external fixes but from internal transformation. The choice before you is simple, but not easy. Continue living reactively, at the mercy of circumstances, emotions, and other people's actions, or begin the daily practice of focusing only on what you can control. Start today. Start now. Begin with this moment. Choose one Stoic principle and apply it for the next 24 hours. If you're the hyperactive achiever, practice saying no to one commitment. If you're the emotional roller coaster, pause before reacting to your next strong feeling. If you're the intellectual fortress, take one imperfect action instead of seeking more information. The ancient world is gone, but human nature remains constant. The wisdom that helped people find peace during the fall of Rome can help you find peace during your Monday morning commute. The principles that sustained prisoners and philosophers alike can sustain you through whatever challenges lie ahead. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. These are your days, your choices, your one chance to live with dignity, purpose, and inner peace. The Stoics believed that every moment offers an opportunity to practice virtue, and every challenge provides a chance to grow stronger. The question isn't whether you'll face difficulties, you will. The question is whether you'll face them as a Stoic, with wisdom, courage, and unshakable inner peace. The choice, as always, is yours.